We're the largest community of M&A investors and entrepreneurs. We were involved in 100 plus transactions in the last 3 years, and now also looking to invest in deals and roll-ups. Let me just tell you guys, because I know for some of you it's the first call. Here's my thought process when it comes to sharing stuff. I think that in business, the only emotion you should allow is celebration, because it's so difficult anyway, like it's so challenging anyway, that we gotta keep it positive, at least here, right? So when you're telling me, hey, I just lost a deal, in my mind, it's like, dude, you were so close to close the deal. That should be your attitude, right? It's like you either win or you learn. It's like you didn't close this one, but you might close another one in a week or two. Also, think about how many things you learned in the process of going through what you just went through. How many people you know around you in the world that went through that process? Like, you know right now more about the process of buying businesses than 99% of people in the world.
Yeah, it was actually kind of like, now I'm in almost like a better situation, because I have meetings set up this week with a few financial institutions. Like, I just called to just get a little bit of information, and then like throughout the call they were like, hey, so let's schedule a meeting, when can you come in so that we can talk about it more. So now I have to go back and now I have to double down, and I will never just focus on one deal again. Now I have to just I'm on the hunt for multiple deals now.
That's the thing, man. You either win or you learn, right? And one of the biggest lessons I think that I try to repeat as much as possible is never stop your deal flow work. It's either because something like this can happen, you don't know when you can potentially lose a deal. And imagine if you close the deal, how good would that be if you had 1 or 2 deals that you were able to close on very, very soon again, right?
You know what I hope, bro? I hope the deal that I lost, I hope it doesn't go through, so that the owner can call me back. Because if that happens, oh my God.
It happened. It can happen, man. Like, don't count on that, but it happens. I can tell you, I had a guy, I remember, who emailed me like 3.5 years after I reached out to him the first time. You just never know. That's why you want to have some kind of a follow-up system, right? So even if a deal don't go through, then you can stay in touch with people, have some kind of you don't have to have a CRM, but even if you have an Excel sheet with all the deals you're working on, right? And you have some kind of notification that says, hey, once a month, once a quarter, once a year even, you're just checking up on people. You either call them, you're emailing them, you text them, hey, what's up? How you been?
100%. And also real quick too, so I have a couple interviews, not interviews, but some meetings with a couple banks, and it's all to set up my business account to get the relationship better. And my question to you is, when I go into these banks and I'm talking to these people, I know I'm doing the right thing, because every time I call, they're like, hey, let me get you to a manager. I fucking love when they say that. So then the manager, I have a couple meetings set up, but do I have to have do you think I should, with my business bank account, you think I should put liquid cash in there first meeting, or you think I should put in a certain amount, because it's each bank, there's going to be more than one.
There's going to be more than what?
I have 4 different meetings this week with 4 different banks. Cool. So if I like 2 of them, do you think I should just
No, I'll be like, look, I'm not working with you guys. You want my business. What can you offer?
Okay, perfect. That's how it's going. All right, perfect.
Yeah. In the end of the day, remember, they're working with you. I mean, yes, obviously you're a big part of it, but they work with you. A lot of it is just going to come down to the deal. How good is the deal? Can the deal handle the financing, right? And obviously it's your responsibility to sell yourself as a credible buyer as much as possible, as someone who can handle running that business, operating that business, being the owner of that business. But in the end of the day, if the deal is not good, they won't talk to you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If the deal is good, cool, then you should sell yourself, right? And obviously, I mean, the more you have, the better. But I think in general, guys, for everyone, it's change your approach. Remember, they need your business as much as you need them, right? That's how they make money. They make money by loaning you money. So keep that in mind, and have be a bit more of a snob when you talk to them, in a good way. Obviously, be kind, be nice, but it's understand that that's their business, and they have competition just like any business have. Right? And if they're not nice to you, if they don't bring you good terms, then you can go out there and shop for other opportunities and other term sheets and offers, right? And keep that in mind.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. By the way, let's just share stuff that's working for you. So you said you're talking to a lot of banks, they're sending you to managers. What are you telling them? Let's have some lessons that you can share with others as well.
Actually, I have little scripting a little bit. I wrote out a whole kind of an interview for them.
Nice. So here's something I want to start in the community, guys. Here's the thing, right? Isaiah, if you have something that works, post it in the community if you don't mind.
Right? Okay. Gotcha. I will do that.
Yeah, sweet, man. Thank you for sharing.
You got it.
Good stuff. Who have any win they want to share? That'll be great. And a win can be you the sector, you talk to a business owner for the first time, you looked at financial for the first time, you made an offer for the first time, you talked to a bank for the first time, anything, you talk to any investor, you made an offer for the first time, that's a win. So if you have anything like that and you want to share, post in the chat or just let me know, then I'll unmute you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Doing great. So I've had a number of wins in the right direction, right? So I've talked to a number of sellers. I even had an LOI with one company just recently, which I loved. But the problem was we just couldn't bridge the gap on purchase price. And really my question for you guys is, what's your experience on valuation multiples? So for instance, my original thesis was I'm going to look for businesses with a free cash flow between 1 and 10 million. The 5 to 10 million free cash flow businesses, the valuation multiples are just too high. And quite frankly, so I've reduced it to $500,000 to 3 million EBITDA. From my perspective, it's really free cash flow, but everyone talks of EBITDA because it's comes from Wall Street, right? But so $500,000 to 3 million EBITDA, but I'm still seeing valuation multiples that are ridiculous because I consider myself a value investor. So I don't like, so I'm kind of looking at purchase prices between 3 and 6 times EBITDA, let's say, but I'm seeing much higher than that. Are you guys seeing something different? Now, obviously my market is United States, which is higher than other countries, right? And I focus on the Southeast, but in general, United States, what kind of businesses are you seeing that's within that range, et cetera?
What sector you're looking at?
So I'm actually industry agnostic, right?
Okay.
So I'm actually pretty open-minded, but I'm looking at family businesses only that have been in existence since at least 2006, right? So they survived the Great Recession, survived COVID. I don't want any CapEx heavy businesses. So it could be light manufacturing. And the business I actually looked at was a light manufacturing food products business with already a pretty well-established brand, but they ended up wanting 16 times their EBITDA, which just didn't work out for me. But yeah, so fairly industry agnostic. I do appreciate healthcare services. I appreciate business services.
Sweet, fair enough. So the way that I see that, and let me just talk to you from a few examples of calls that I had in the last 2 weeks. So I don't know if you guys saw, but we basically announced that we want to look at marketing agencies and potentially do a roll up there. And we basically have a pipeline of more than $80 million in revenues just in the last weeks of marketing agencies. Or actually now I have a call today with a guy that's on his own doing 70. So it's actually 150 million in pipeline of companies. And I can tell you right away, like, there's a big difference between evaluation of what people are asking for, like huge, right? Like you said, some of them are just like insane. They're just like, they think that they deserve valuation of Tesla, right? Why? Because that's what their friend told them or whoever they met. So a lot of it comes down to just their education and what they're familiar with. And remember, a lot of those people are selling their business for the first time. It's the only business that they're selling, right? So a lot of it can come down to your education, especially if it's a deal that is not listed with a broker. It's your responsibility as the buyer to educate them on, hey, here's what's up in the market. Here's what might make sense for you. Here's why I think your business worth X, or in a range of X and Y, and not 10 times the net like you're thinking. And if you can get 10 times, then what I think is fair, then go for it. Obviously, if you can get rich, why not? But if you want to get something fair, then here's what makes sense and here's why. That's what my conversation would look like. And here are some of the things that you can look at, right? So for example, so you mentioned, I think 16 EBITDA. I can tell you, I just had a call with a marketing agency they're going to do about 6-7 million EBITDA this year. They're looking for 10 times EBITDA, right? But the reason that they can ask for at this stage, actually at that size, it's not really a premium.
So how much they want at 10 times? Is that
they want 10 times EBITDA, yeah. At the same time, they're doing almost 7 million in EBITDA, right? And if you look at public companies in that space, that's kind of like a comparable you can have, is what numbers they see, right? What kind of P ratio you see in public companies. And with marketing agencies, you see it anywhere from, I don't know, 15, 20, sometimes more, depends on obviously on the company. And here, actually, there's a company that one of the biggest guys just started from scratch, and he traded multiples of revenues. So here are some of the reasons that you can look at to determine what makes sense for evaluation. So first of all, obviously it's financial performance, right? So kind of like what kind of revenues you're seeing, what kind of profits, what are the margins, what's the quality of financials, is it audited or not? What's the growth potential, right? Every sector have different growth potential. Also just the the idea that it's a fast growing company. So for example, if you get a company that is in the growth stage, they can ask a higher multiple just because they're growing fast, right? But if they're a company that is stable, that's where stable valuations should come into play. So for example, that company that I'm talking to that want 10 times EBITDA, I mean, they're doubling their business for the last 3 years. So obviously they can ask more. But if I saw a company that's, let's say, did or is doing right now, let's say did in the last 12 months 20% less than they did 2 years ago, then that's a red flag, and they don't deserve the valuation bonus. Things of like even the quality of the business. So if the business is dependent on one person or one client or one customer or supplier, like if there's, for example, 80% of revenues comes from one client, guess what? They don't deserve that bonus of valuation.
Money is a byproduct. That's not my mission. My mission is to buy and build great companies. The
I'm
problem
with
with overpaying, and what these buyers want is they want the lump sum up front. Biggest reason for failure is overpaying and too leverage, right? So the idea that, hey, you can pay really high multiples because it's such a growth company, it'll do so well, but you're making an aggressive assumption. And if that assumption is wrong, you're dead.
I agree on that. So I tell you what, with the marketing agency, here's my thought process there, for example, right? In the end of the day, look, it all comes down to, buyer and seller relationship and who wants more and what both sides agree on that is fair for both sides. So if you think it's fair and the other side thinks it's fair, you'll find a way. I'm with you 100%. You don't want to pay too much. You don't want to be over leveraged. You want to buy great companies. And like you said, a lot of the tech companies that raise at crazy valuations right now are getting punished because of that, right? And now they need to hold themselves back or devalue themselves and do a raise. So I'm with you 100%. Let me just share with you with the marketing agency, for example. My thought process is we're going to buy everyone at 5 times EBITDA. And the only chance that we'll buy someone for more is if they're a platform company, which means that's a company that we're going to build on and really have such an advantage on everyone else that just by having a company like that in the platform could by itself increase our overall, play and value in the business.
How much are you willing to pay for the platform company and the marketing?
So here's the thing with that company that I told you that won 10 times EBITDA. I think that, so here's the thing, I think that we can get them to get only 20% cash up front. The rest of it is going to be in shares in the new co that we're going to create. I think we can make it work, especially if we're going to then position it as a fast growing company and potentially trade at multiples of revenues to start with. Thank you for asking. I think we went through some great stuff that is super valuable for everyone. So thank you.